Okay, quite a ban list we're looking at this time. It changes quite a few things in the meta, both in the meta and for me actually, given that I actually have been using Witchcrafters the last 3 months, which is fine. Grass becoming forbidden is not a surprise, given that it's also forbidden in the TCG, and that drawing into it can almost guarantee a win. As it says right here, victory is almost certain when you draw into your grass. It was definitely in the right place when it was limited, and I am not really arguing about it becoming forbidden. Let's move on. Cyberstein is one of those gimmicky, tilty cards that, if you come across, it's just stupid. Yeah, I'm glad this is forbidden as well. It's also forbidden in the TCG, if I'm not too mistaken. Not too much more to say there. I never really liked Cyberstein to begin with. If anyone has had the displeasure of coming across Star Blast and the Dark Magician in PvP, then they'll realize why this has been limited to one. The Access Denied Star Blast Dark Magician build was a very gimmicky build that was around for a little while, that basically locked you down in the first turn, and it just wasn't fun to come across. It wasn't Yu-Gi-Oh, it was just trolling on another level. But Needlebug Nest, again, I understand why this has been limited to one for the same reason that Grass was limited to one back in the day. It gives too much advantage. Needlebug Nest with the Shiranui, or Needlebug Nest with anything that wants to be into the graveyard and can be activated on your opponent's turn. Just all kinds of advantage can be given from Needlebug Nest, so I'm not surprised to see that it won. Revival Gift, I haven't really seen too much in PvP. In fact, I don't think I've seen it at all in PvP. I may have seen a fellow YouTube duelist post a deck with this card that pretty much locked down the field in some kind of way, but I didn't look too deeply into it, so I'm not going to speak of Revival Gift as if I know about it. But I understand why it's on a limited one, because I believe it's a little gimmicky. Now this is what I'm a little giddy about. I'm seeing Gold Sarcophagus moved over to limited 2. Now there's a couple of reasons for that, selfish reasons if I'm admitting, and that's because Thunder Dragon Dark was actually taking off of the list. Now if he was still at 3, it wouldn't have really mattered, because I was more concerned with using Thunder Dragon Dark with Golden Sarcophagus, and with it sitting at 3 earlier, I wasn't able to use it with Thunder Dragon Dark with much consistency. But now that Dragon Dark is off the ban list and Gold Sarcophagus is at 2, that means I can run 3 Dragon Dark with 2 Gold Sarcophagus. Unfortunately, the Thunder Dragons won't be able to run World Legacy Clash, which is incredible with T-Drags. I don't know if you've tried that yet, but unfortunately you won't be able to run that alongside the Gold Sarcophagus. However, it is nice to have that available to us in conjunction with Thunder Dragon Dark. Charge of the Light Brigade. I'm not surprised to see this semi-limited. I actually thought that this is what they were going to do before they made it pseudo-limited, which is 3. I was saying way back when this first was released that Charge is definitely going to get nerfed, probably brought down to 2, because it is too much of an accessory card for a wide plethora of decks. And anybody who spent any amount of time in PvP knows what I'm talking about. That Charge of the Light Brigade is insane, allowing you both a search and a mill. I think the reason they're bringing this down to 2 alongside Holiday is because of the Synchro deck that's still floating around. In fact, that's probably been my main deck for the last 3 months. And I was planning on seeking a new power anyway, because I am getting a little tired of the Witchcrafters, and since Witchcrafter Holiday was brought down to 3, the Synchro variant of the Witchcrafters isn't as consistent as it used to be, with only 2 charge and 1 Holiday, or 1 charge and 2 Holiday, depending on what you were running. So, but with actually I'm covering Holiday right now too. With both of those cards down to 2, we are gonna have to say sayonara to that Synchro Lightsworn Witchcrafter deck, and that's probably great news for a lot of you. With me, it's not too big of a deal, because I was already planning on seeking a different power this coming month anyway. I don't know, perhaps there are other Witchcrafter builds, maybe with Alistair the Invoker or something like that, that we can come up with in a later date, but as of now, there probably won't be much Witchcrafter usage, not in the meta at least. Now, I'm not too familiar with Karakuri, their effects or their build. I know that they are based on changing the attack or defensive position of their own monsters or of the opponent's monsters, and then gaining card advantage from doing so. Now this tuner in particular is like a double summoner. I'm not going to speak too deeply on the Karakuri because honestly I've never played them and I've only came across them a handful of times. I did see the newer variant of it using Restart in PvP this month. I saw it a couple times and it was just insane. It was the most insane thing I've seen in a very long time. So I can see why this is being brought down to 2 to clip the Achilles heel on that before. I also believe that they're trying to open up space for Zexal and the new qualities of gameplay that the Xyz monsters are going to be bringing us. Keeper of Dragon Magic. Honestly, I didn't see this coming. However, I am not surprised to see it on here. We know how this card works. As soon as it came out, everyone was using it. We've been seeing it mostly in the Invoked Neos within the meta these days, and with that Keeper of Dragon Magic there, you're able to bring cards back from the graveyard as well as search any fusion card. That's any fusion card. That's a pretty powerful card there, and using it alongside Neos Fusion is probably the reason why this is brought down to 2. We are not able to use that to get the Neos Fusion anymore unless we're running one of each, and that isn't very good for consistency. So yeah, that's a pretty big hit right there. Black Bird Close. Okay, that's a very strong nerf, given that Raikiri is at 2 as well, so you'll only be able to run 1 Raikiri, 1 Blackbird Close. I think this is actually what's going to balance Black Wings in a way, in some shape or form. I'm interested to see if it will have as much play after this. Black Wings is also a deck that I haven't really played. I've come across it several times. I know how to play against it. And it's a very, very challenging deck and it's been around for a while. But seeing that Blackbird Close down to 2, yeah, it's a pretty big hit for Blackwing players. A fellow duelist of mine probably will not be happy to see Alistair the Invoker at limited 3. And that's because this completely nerfs the Element Saber build, or as I call the Evokes. We all know it with Element Saber Malayu there to flip all of your monsters face down with the Palace of the Elemental Lords to act as a buffer for doing so. With Alistair the Invoker at 3, you will be unable to run him alongside Palace, which is also at 3, which completely shatters that deck in terms of consistency. So I think this is a long time coming. Alistair, limited 3, pseudo limited. It's a good place for Alistair the Invoker for now, for where the meta's at. You won't be able to use him alongside Cosmic Cyclone or the Palace of the Elemental Lords. Those are the only cards worthy of mentioning in terms of the meta here. Of course, it's also in the Invoked Neos, but there weren't anything else that was put limited 3 in that build that would be used, apart from the Cosmic Cyclone. And of course, Element Saber Malo, which was limited originally, probably when Purgatrio first came out and it was just dominating the meta. I think that's why he was brought down to limited 1, but he's going to be taken off the list there because there's a million other ways to summon Purgatrio, and it really doesn't make sense to have Malo at 1 anymore, especially with Alistair becoming 3, breaking that Element Saber deck and disallowing you to use him alongside Palace with much consistency. So that's it for the cards. Now the skills, I'm not going to go too deeply into. There's just a couple things worthy of mentioning here in my opinion. First off, Restart was given a strange nerf, if you ask me. You can no longer use Restart unless you have a deck that has both 7 spells and 7 trap cards, which is interesting, but I think they did this to break the Karakuri deck because it does have the Restart, and it doesn't matter if they use that Restart because if their draw phase is skipped, they're going to be able to draw and search half their deck anyway, given all the effects that are available to them through the Karakuri engine. So I understand why the Restart was nerfed there. Switcheroo. Life points brought up to 1,500 instead of 1,000, and you can only be used once per duel. I think this was used with the Invoked Neos in mind, and how easy it was to use that volcanic shell to pay 500 life points and proceed with your combos from there. Shadow Game got a hit, guys. At the guys and girls, of course. At the end of this turn, both players with a maximum of 400 points per turn. So every turn you can take a maximum of 400 points. Doesn't matter if you've milled half your deck, you're not going to get that 1500 life point hit anymore. Shadow Game also does not apply any damage if your life points are 1000 or less. This alongside Lava Golem being nerfed as well, down to 500 points per turn. I think this is what's going to break Stall, at least in the form of Merrick. The Shadow Game, Lava Golem, and sometimes even the Megaroid City, the most hated decks in any meta. I'm not too sure if that coincides with what the collective believes, but I think any Merrick deck where he's just laughing at you, Shadow Game, Shadow Game, Shadow Game, and then a Lava Golem just to add insult to injury, I'm more than happy to see this nerf happen. Bring it on. I'm not hating on anybody who prefers to play more passively, but I think that whole Merrick and Lava Golem deck was just something that the trolls like to use just to make you feel bad. And I'm just happy to see it nerfed and being put into control here. Access denied. I mentioned this when we were looking at Star Blast. It can only be used from your 5th turn onward now, and that means any Dark Magician decks that are trying to use that Star Blast in conjunction with Access Denied are not going to be able to do so until their 5th turn. With that, combined with Star Blast being brought down to 1, that breaks that deck entirely. So I'm glad they got to it quickly, because that just wasn't fun. Show of Nightmares. Instead of just getting that +1 from the spell in the graveyard, you have to return a card from your hand into the deck as a result. I think they did this to get the Witchcrafters under control, but I think what they did with the Charge of the Light Brigade and the Witchcrafter Holiday, combined with this, they just broke that deck completely, rightfully so. And I think that's it. There's a few other things worth looking up here if you're into anything else like that, but it doesn't really apply to me in my knowledge base, so I encourage you to come check out the ban list yourself. Get ahead on what's coming up in Zexal. I have a couple of different sources of power that I'm scoping out there. We're looking at a whole new meta in the coming months here. I'm pretty excited for this game, probably more so than I've been all year. It's good to see these kinds of changes coming. Let me know what you think in the comments. Peace.